There are two kinds of people who visit Santorini. The ones who come to fall in love, and the ones who come to test it. Christus came for neither. Or at least, that's what he told himself. Cut to white buildings glowing under the Aegean sun in Santorini. Sophia had mastered the art of being admired. Tall, composed, unreachable. She worked at one of the most beautiful cliffside hotels in Greece, the kind of place where sunsets sell promises and infinity pools blur the line between sky and sea. She greeted guests with precision, poured wine with elegance, smiled without invitation. But here's what nobody knew. She could feel when someone was looking at her for the wrong reason. And that morning, someone was. Christus didn't look like trouble. He looked like data. Measured steps. Observant eyes. A man who didn't react, he calculated. He checked in at the reception desk. But he didn't look at the view. He looked at her. And not the way most men did. No hunger. No nervousness. Just assessment. Have you ever felt someone studying you instead of desiring you? That's the difference between attraction and analysis. Christus already knew Sophia's name before she introduced herself. He knew her shift patterns, her average interaction time with male guests, the exact moment her smile stopped being real. He had run the numbers. But here's the part he didn't calculate. The moment she looked up and held his gaze for exactly 3 seconds longer than necessary, his breathing changed. And data doesn't explain that. You're probably wondering something. Was this a love story? Or was she a variable in an experiment? Because the truth is, Christus didn't choose that hotel by accident. He chose it because of her. But not for the reason you think. 3 months earlier, he wrote a paper in Athens about romantic validation patterns in service environments in Athens. He believed love was predictable, measurable, repeatable. And he came to Santorini to prove it. Sophia was never supposed to matter. She was supposed to confirm a theory. But theories don't prepare you for eye contact that feels like exposure. Or for the moment the subject starts reading you back. Music swells slightly. Because Sophia noticed something unusual about him too. He never once complimented her appearance. He asked about her ambitions, her exhaustion, her dreams beyond the uniform. And that unsettled her more than desire ever could. Tell me something. If someone saw beyond your beauty, beyond your professionalism, beyond the version of you that performs, would you feel understood? Or would you feel exposed? Because this story isn't about love. It's about power and self-worth. And what happens when the person studying your heart starts losing control of his own? Long silence. This is the part where most stories begin with attraction. But this one begins with intention. And intention is far more dangerous. Santorini is honest about one thing. It does not hide its beauty. White walls, blue domes, cliffs that fall without apology into endless water. But people hide everything. Sophia learned that early. She worked at a cliffside luxury hotel overlooking the caldera, The kind of place where proposals happen before dessert and breakups happen before sunrise. She was tall, poised, effortless. But effortlessly is always an illusion. Every morning she rehearsed her composure like armor. Smile calibrated, voice softened, movements intentional. Because in places like this, guests don't just check in, they evaluate. And Sophia knew how to pass evaluation. What she didn't expect was to be evaluated back. Cut to airport arrival. Christus steps onto the island. Not excited, not distracted, observing. He wasn't here for the sunset. He had already seen the data. Hotel occupancy patterns, guest demographics, employee retention rates, and her. He had watched Sophia for weeks before ever booking a flight. Social media traces, hotel website features, guest reviews mentioning the tall receptionist with the unforgettable presence. But admiration was not his motivation. Christus was a data analyst in Athens. He specialized in human decision modeling. He believed attraction followed structure, that love followed pattern, that validation could be predicted. And he came to Santorini to confirm a theory. He requested a specific room, ocean facing. 3 nights. Arrival 3:40 p.m. Her shift began at 3:30. Coincidence is comforting. But this wasn't coincidence. Hotel lobby. Marble floors reflecting late afternoon light. Sophia stands behind reception. Then the doors open. Christus enters. Their eyes meet. 3 seconds. 4. 5. Too long. She breaks eye contact first. Not because she was intimidated, but because she recognized something. He wasn't looking at her the way men usually did. There was no hunger, no awkwardness, just calculation and curiosity. The dangerous kind. Have you ever felt someone measuring you? Not your body, not your beauty, your responses, your rhythm, your control. That's what unsettled her. He approached the desk. Reservation for Christus Anagnostou. His voice steady, her smile professional. But her pulse 2 beats faster than baseline. And he noticed. Because he watches details. She handed him the key card. Their fingers brushed. Not accidental. Measured. He held contact 1 second longer than socially appropriate. Testing boundary tolerance. She withdrew first. Boundary established. He smiled slightly. Data logged. Evening falls over Santorini. Guests gather at the bar overlooking the caldera. Champagne glasses. Low music. Whispers of romance. Christus sits alone. Not scrolling his phone. Watching. Sophia moves between tables. Graceful. Controlled. But when she laughs at a guest's joke, he notices it doesn't reach her eyes. He writes nothing down. He doesn't need to. He remembers everything. Later that night, he predicts her break time. 7:42 p.m. She steps out toward the staff balcony overlooking the sea. He is already there. Not close, but present. She stops. This is no longer coincidence. You don't like sunsets, she asks. I prefer patterns, he replies. She studies him. And what pattern do you see here? He looks at her. People come here to feel significant. But significance isn't the same as self-worth. That was not small talk. That was intrusion. You tell me. If a stranger spoke directly to the part of you that doubts itself, would you walk away? Or would you lean in? Because Sophia did something unexpected. She stayed. Days pass. He never flirts. Never compliments her appearance. Instead, he asks about her education. Why she chose hospitality. Whether she plans to leave the island. Questions that feel like interviews disguised as conversation. She begs. INS anticipating him. Not romantically. Strategically. She starts adjusting her responses. Testing him back. One evening at the infinity pool. She lies. She tells him she's engaged. Watches his reaction. His expression barely shifts. But his breathing pauses for half a second. He recovers. Congratulations, he says. She smiles. He doesn't ask follow-up questions. Because he already knows she's lying. No engagement ring indentation. No recent social posts. No change in routine. But now, he knows she tests people. And that changes the experiment. Night. Christus alone in his room. Laptop open. A document titled Romantic Validation in Service Class Environments, Field Observation. Under subject, S. Cursor blinking. He hesitates. Deletes the line. Rewrites it. Unexpected variable detected. He closes the laptop. For the first time. He looks uncertain. Next morning. Sophia receives a call at reception. A guest complaint. Room 407. Christus' room. She goes up personally. Knocks. Door opens. But the room is immaculate. No issue. He looks at her. I just wanted to see if you'd come yourself. That crosses a line. Her composure cracks, slightly. You manipulated the system, she says. He steps closer. No, I tested priority response. Her voice lowers. I'm not data. He studies her expression. No, he says quietly. You're not. Then why does he look conflicted? This is where most love stories pretend something beautiful is beginning. But something else was beginning here. Control was shifting. Because Sophia started noticing something else. Christus stopped observing other guests. Stopped logging behaviors. Stopped calculating. He was reacting now. To her. And unpredictability is dangerous to a man who lives by patterns. Storm clouds gather over Santorini cliffs. Wind stronger. Sophia alone at reception after midnight. She receives an anonymous email on the hotel's shared computer. Subject line. Do you know why he chose you? Her breath tightens. She opens it. Attached file. A screenshot of Christus' original research proposal. Her image embedded. Highlighted text. Primary behavioral subject. Lightning flashes outside. Footsteps approach behind her. She slowly turns. Christus stands there. Not calm. Not analytical. Just watching her face. And for the first time, he looks afraid. Sound of wind against glass. The email screen still glowing. Lightning fading. There's a moment in every power game when the observer realizes he's been seen. Sophia didn't turn away from the screen immediately. She let him see that she had seen it. The attachment. Her photograph. The words, primary behavioral subject. Slow inhale. Christus stepped closer. Not defensive. Not apologetic. Just calculating damage. You opened it, he said. Not a question. A confirmation. She turned to him. No, she replied calmly. It opened me. That wasn't the reaction he expected. Here's what most people would do. They'd confront, accuse, walk away. But Sophia did something unpredictable. She smiled. Tomorrow is my day off, she said softly. If you're studying me, don't stop now. Christus didn't answer immediately. Because now, the pattern had changed. Next evening, private ferry to Mykonos. No uniforms. No hotel lobby. No performance. Just ocean. And two people who no longer trusted each other, but couldn't disengage. Why did she go? That's the question you're asking, isn't it? Because sometimes you don't chase closure. You chase clarity. And clarity can be seductive. Mykonos at night in Mykonos. Music. White streets glowing under moonlight. Luxury bar overlooking the water. They sit across from each other. No research talk. No confrontation. Instead, he asks her about childhood. She answers carefully. She asks him about fear. He hesitates. That's new. You can tell when someone is losing control. Their questions become personal. Christus stopped asking about her schedule. He started asking, what makes you feel invisible? That wasn't in his research template. She studies him. You first, she says. I don't like not understanding my own reactions. That is the first honest thing he has said. Later that night, they walk alone through narrow streets. She stops abruptly. Tell me something, she says. Did you choose me because I fit your theory? Or because I threatened it? He looks at her longer this time. I chose you because you looked controlled. And controlled people break in predictable ways. She steps closer. What if I don't break? He leans in slightly. Everyone breaks. She whispers. Then you've never met someone who knows their worth. And for the first time. He looks uncertain. Here's where it shifts. Because attraction is easy. But ego is fragile. Poolside villa. Late night swim. Water reflecting moonlight. She moves toward him first this time. Closes distance. But instead of kissing him, she asks, are you still collecting data? He doesn't answer. She slides her hand into the water. Pulls away. Steps out of the pool. Leaves him standing there. Unfinished. Unresolved. Uncontrolled. Next morning, Christus wakes up alone. On the table beside his laptop, a note in her handwriting. You forgot to ask the most important variable. He scans his laptop. His behavioral file on her. Edited. Someone accessed it. Added one line. Subject aware of observation. Subject now observing observer. His jaw tightens. She reversed the experiment. You see the danger now, don't you? This is no longer a man studying a woman. This is two minds circling each other. And one of them has something to lose. Back in Santorini, hotel life resumes. But something is different. Sophia is calmer. More grounded. She doesn't seek him out. Doesn't adjust her schedule. Doesn't react when he watches her. Control reclaimed. But Christus, he starts deviating. Misses analytical routines. Deletes sections of his paper. Stops logging emotional cues. Because he feels something he cannot model. Jealousy. When another guest flirts with her at the bar, he intervenes. Subtle. Polite. Territorial. She notices. So do the guests. Let me ask you something. If the person who claimed to study you starts reacting emotionally, who has the power now? Midpoint scene. Cliffside sunset. Wind violent. She confronts him directly. You're not here for research anymore. He doesn't deny it. You changed the variables. She steps closer. No, I exposed them. He breathes heavier now. And then, the unpredictable moment. He confesses. There was never an official study. Her eyes narrow. What? I fabricated the proposal. She freezes. You lied about the research. Yes. Then why? His voice lowers. Because I needed a reason to come here. The wind roars louder. Why me? She asks. He answers. Because I saw you once last year. Flash of memory. Airport in Athens. She was there briefly for training. He noticed her. Didn't approach. Regretted it. The study was an excuse. A structured lie to justify irrational attraction. Now ask yourself. Which is worse? Being studied or being obsessed with? But the twist isn't finished. Sophia steps back. Smiles faintly. You think that makes this romantic? She pulls out her phone. Shows him something. A screenshot. She knew about him before he arrived. She researched him too. The data analyst. The published articles. The personality modeling. She suspected from day one. And she let it continue. Why? Because she wanted to see if a man who reduces love to numbers could fall victim to it. Silence between them. The storm breaks overhead. Rain begins. He whispers. So what am I now? She looks at him carefully. An experiment. Lightning flashes. Power has completely shifted. This is no longer about attraction. It's about self-worth. About who chooses. And who needs to be chosen. And here's the real question. If both of them entered this game with hidden motives, who is actually honest? Rain intensifies. Christus reaches for her hand. She doesn't pull away. But she doesn't hold back either. The storm doesn't end when the rain stops. It lingers in silence. Power is intoxicating. But mutual manipulation, that's combustible. After the confession. After the reversal. After she called him the experiment. Something shifted between them. Not distance. Not closeness. Instability. Back at the hotel in Santorini. Guests laugh at the bar. Champagne flows. Infinity pool calm again. But beneath calm surfaces, currents move. Sophia resumes her role. Composed. Efficient. Untouchable. Christus watches from a distance now. Not analyzing. Waiting. Because for the first time, he doesn't know her next move. 3 days pass. No confrontation. No seduction. No clarity. Then, another email arrives. Not to the hotel. To Christus. Subject line. Your data was incomplete. Attachment. Video file. Time-stamped. Clips of him and Sophia in Mykonos. Bar. Street. Poolside. Recorded from a distance. He freezes. He never filmed anything. Which means someone else did. This is where certainty dies. Because if neither of them sent the first email, then who did? He goes to her immediately. No hesitation. She watches the video silently. Doesn't react at first. Then she rewinds. Zooms in. Reflection in a window. A figure. Watching them. Do you recognize him? Christus asks. She shakes her head slowly. But something in her expression changes. Fear. Real fear. And this time, it isn't calculated. Here's the question you didn't expect. What if neither of them started this game? What if someone else did? Later that night, Sophia can't sleep. Balcony overlooking the caldera. Wind sharp. She replays the past weeks in her mind. The first email. The research proposal. The timing. Too precise. Too orchestrated. Her breathing tightens. Because she remembers something. 6 months ago. A guest at the hotel. Persistent. Intense. Obsessed with her attention. She rejected him. Politely. Firmly. He didn't take it well. Christus receives another message. This time only text. No one studies self-worth without losing their own. His hands tremble slightly. Not from fear. From realization. He was never in control. Neither was she. Ask yourself this. If someone engineered your attraction, manipulated your proximity, controlled your perception of power, would you even know what was real anymore? The next morning, Sophia disappears. Doesn't show up for shift. Phone unreachable. Hotel management concerned. Christus' mind races. Not analytical. Primal. He searches her apartment. Empty. Except for one thing. Her hotel badge. Placed deliberately on the table. As if she left it behind on purpose. Cut to Navajo Beach in Navajo Beach. Isolated. Beautiful. Dangerous. She stands alone near the cliff edge. Wind violent. Christus finds her there. Breathing hard. Relieved. Angry. You can't disappear like that, he says. She doesn't turn around. Watch me. Silence. Then. The twist. She reveals she traced the anonymous emails. Not to a jealous former guest. Not to hotel staff. To an IP address in Athens. Linked to Christus' own research department. His former colleague. A man who publicly criticized his belief that love was measurable. Someone who said, "You can't model self-worth. It resists control." Now everything rearranges. The fake proposal. The timed emails. The surveillance. It wasn't obsession. It was sabotage. Someone wanted Christus to fail. Publicly. Emotionally. Academically. And Sophia was collateral. She turns to him finally. Eyes intense. "Did you tell anyone about me?" He shakes his head. "I told him about a hypothesis. Not about you." But he knew. Christus processes quickly. The colleague had access to his drafts. His travel plans. His interest patterns. He engineered the illusion of manipulation. To prove a point. But here's where it fractures again. Sophia steps closer. Or she says quietly, "You're lying." Silence. Because that possibility still exists. Trust is thin. And fear distorts logic. You want certainty right now. You want to know who to blame. But that's not how self-worth works. It doesn't survive in certainty. It survives in choice. Christus confesses something else. There was one part of the proposal that was real. He did initially want to test a theory, but not about her. About himself. Whether he was capable of loving without dissecting. And now, he doesn't know if what he feels is real, or if it's psychological backlash from being manipulated. Sophia steps back from the cliff, wind tearing at her hair. "Do you love me?" she asks. He doesn't answer immediately, and that delay feels louder than any confession. Because hesitation is truth. This is the breaking point. Not betrayal. Not sabotage. Uncertainty. She looks at him one last time. If you need to analyze it, it isn't love. She walks away. Not running. Not crying. Just choosing distance. Christus stands alone. Ocean below. Realization sinking in. For the first time in his life, he cannot calculate the outcome. Back in Santorini. Hotel lobby buzzing again. Sophia returns to work days later. Professional mask stronger than ever. Christus watches from afar. But now, he doesn't approach. He doesn't observe. He doesn't intervene. He leaves the hotel quietly that night. Checkout complete. No goodbye. Sometimes losing control is growth. Sometimes it's loss. And sometimes it's the only way to discover what your self-worth can survive. Silence. No music. Just city noise. When something breaks quietly, it's usually ego. Christus returned to Athens without ceremony. No dramatic goodbye. No confrontation. No resolution. Just departure. Because sometimes leaving feels like regaining control. Until you realize you left the wrong thing behind. Athens. Concrete. Noise. Deadlines. He walks into his research department. Eyes follow him. Whispers linger. Something has shifted. Then he sees it. Projected on a conference screen. A presentation slide. His name. Under it, a leaked file. Title: Emotional Dependency Case Study. Field subject: Sophia. His stomach drops. He never submitted that. He never finalized it. But it's there. Public. And altered. Sabotage isn't loud. It's surgical. The colleague. The critic. The man who said love resists modeling. He didn't need to ruin Christus professionally. He needed to ruin him personally. Because a data analyst exposed emotionally loses credibility. Clip excerpts play in the room. Private behavioral notes. Psychological assumptions. Fragments of conversation. Out of context. Distorted. Weaponized. Gasps. Questions. Ethics committee murmurs. Christus stands still. Not defending himself. Because part of it is true. He did begin with observation. Even if he didn't finish that way. And truth mixed with distortion is the most dangerous narrative. Here's the moment most men collapse. They blame. They deflect. They protect their image. Christus does none of it. He resigns. No speech. No defense. Just a quiet sentence. I misjudged what cannot be measured. And walks out. Meanwhile, Santorini continues glowing. Guests unaware of academic scandal. Sophia hears about it from a co-worker. Someone saw it online. The presentation clip circulating. Her name mentioned. Not fully, but enough. She watches the leak alone in her apartment. Pauses at one frame. A line he wrote weeks ago. Subject demonstrates controlled exterior masking deep validation sensitivity. She exhales slowly. Was that manipulation? Or did he see something real? That's the cruelty of exposure. It blurs intention. Tell me something. If someone studies you, and they write about your insecurity, does that make them cruel or honest? Days pass. Christus disappears from public view. No social media. No response. No retaliation. Sophia expects anger. Instead, silence. That unsettles her more. Because silence means reflection. And reflection means change. Unexpected twist. The colleague who orchestrated the sabotage is investigated. Why? Because the metadata on the leak reveals something. He accessed files illegally, manipulated drafts, altered timestamps. But here's the part no one expected. He didn't fabricate everything. He only amplified what already existed. Which means, Christus was never innocent. Just incomplete. Collapse isn't about being falsely accused. It's about confronting the part of the accusation that's true. One evening in Santorini, Sophia receives a handwritten letter. No return address. Inside, a simple sentence. You deserved to be chosen without analysis. No signature. But she knows. She reads it twice. Not romantic. Not pleading. Accountable. But we are not resolving this yet. Because unpredictability demands resistance. She doesn't call him. Doesn't reply. Instead, she makes a decision. She applies for a management program in Athens. Leaves the hotel. Leaves the island. Not because of him, but because she refuses to remain the woman who was studied. Cut to Athens. Months later. Professional setting. Conference hall. Banner reads, Behavior, Ethics, and Human Value. Guest speaker announced. Not Christus, but Sophia. Topic: Service, Perception, and Personal Worth. She walks on stage. Tall. Composed. Different. And in the back row, Christus sits quietly. Not invited. By her. Not announced. Just present. Listening. Not studying. Listening. This is collapse. Not of love. Of ego. Of illusion. Of the belief that understanding someone gives you ownership. Sophia speaks into the microphone. Self-worth begins the moment you stop performing for validation. Her eyes briefly meet his. No anger. No longing. Just recognition. He lowers his gaze first this time. Power no longer matters. Only accountability. But here's the final unpredictable fracture of Act 4. After the conference ends, she walks past him without stopping. He doesn't follow. He doesn't call her name. He lets her leave. Because pursuit would feel like pattern. And he has finally learned. Self-worth cannot be chased. It must be offered. Everything has collapsed now. Career. Ego. Control. Illusion. Only one question remains. When two people have seen the worst parts of each other, what survives? Sophia walks out into the Athens evening. She doesn't look back. Because self-worth doesn't require witnesses. Inside the conference hall, Christus remains seated, not frozen, thinking. For months, he believed collapse was punishment. But now he understands something else. Collapse was correction. 3 days later, he boards a ferry. Not impulsively, not dramatically, intentionally. Back to Santorini. Back to where control first fractured. Back to where he first confused curiosity with connection. The island hasn't changed. White against blue. Cliffs against sea. But he has. Here's the difference. The first time he came to Santorini, he arrived with a theory. This time, he arrives with nothing. No research. No hypothesis. No expectation. Just clarity. He doesn't go to her apartment. Doesn't search for her. Instead, he returns to the hotel lobby where it began. Stands where he first measured her silence. Only now, he feels it. The vulnerability of being the one who waits. A staff member recognizes him. She doesn't work here anymore. He nods. He knew that. He didn't come to find her. He came to close something inside himself. Sunset over Santorini. He stands alone overlooking the caldera. And for the first time in his life, he does not analyze his emotion. He lets it exist without naming it. Regret. Gratitude. Loss. Unmeasured. Meanwhile, in Athens, Sophia receives a job offer. Promotion. Leadership role. Permanent relocation. Stability. Independence. No emotional complication. She stares at the contract. Then at her phone. There's a missed call. No voicemail. From him. She doesn't call back. Not immediately. Because this is the moment. Not about love. About choice. If someone returns without ego, without performance, without strategy, do you reward that? Or do you protect the peace you fought to build? Night falls in Santorini. Christus sits at the edge of the infinity pool. The same place he once tried to predict her reactions. Now, he predicts nothing. His phone lights up. Unknown number. He answers. Then her voice. Calm. I heard you came back. He doesn't rush. Yes. Why? And here is the only line that matters. Because I needed to know who I am when I'm not trying to understand you. She exhales. That's different. Yes. Wind over the water. She speaks again. If I come back, it won't be to prove anything. I know. It won't be to fix what broke. I know. It will be because I want to. He closes his eyes. I know. Call ends. No promise. No plan. No time set. Just possibility. 3 days pass. No message. No update. Christus prepares to leave the island again. Taxi waiting. Suitcase packed. He takes one last look at the cliffs. Then, a familiar voice behind him. You still prefer patterns. He turns. Sophia stands there. No uniform. No performance. No guarded smile. Just presence. He doesn't walk toward her. He waits. She steps closer instead. Not dramatic. Not emotional. Intentional. You came back without a theory, she says. Yes. You didn't chase. No. You didn't explain yourself. No. She studies him carefully. looking for calculation, finding none. Then, the final unpredictable shift. She doesn't kiss him, doesn't embrace him. Instead, she hands him the contract from Athens. Unsigned. I haven't decided yet, she says. He looks at it, then at her. And here is the ultimate test. He says, if staying here makes you smaller, go. No hesitation, no fear, no persuasion. And that is the first time he chooses her self-worth over his desire. Silence between them. Wind soft now. Her eyes shift. Not softened, strengthened. She tears the contract in half. Not because of him. Because she already decided before she arrived. I wasn't asking for permission, she says quietly. I was checking if you understood. He almost smiles, but doesn't. Because this isn't victory. It's balance. Self-worth is not about being chosen. It's about choosing yourself. And then choosing someone who does the same. They stand side by side. Not entangled. Not dependent. Just aligned. The sunset burns across Santorini one last time. No promises spoken. No dramatic music swell. Just two people who entered as experiment and subject, and leave as equals. Love becomes dangerous when you try to measure it. It becomes powerful when you stop.